I caught my sister, my own sister, kissing my boyfriend a week before her wedding. And the worst part? I told her fiancé, and thought he did nothing. But what he did at the altar shook the entire family, and changed everything. I'm 29. My name's Rachel. And up until a few months ago, I thought I understood loyalty, family, love, trust. Turns out, I was living in a delusion crafted by the people closest to me. My younger sister, Kayla, was 27 and planning the kind of Pinterest dream wedding that made everyone nauseous with envy. Meanwhile, I'd been dating my boyfriend, Drew, for almost 3 years. Things weren't perfect, but we had history, and I genuinely thought we were building something real. It started small. Harmless, maybe? Kayla giggled too much at Drew's corny jokes, stuff that barely made sense, much less deserved full-belly laughs. She found excuses to touch him casually. A hand on his arm when he talked. Her head thrown back, brushing against his shoulder as she lost balance during charades. I told myself I was imagining things. Who suspects their own sister? Then it got weird. She'd position herself right next to him during every family dinner, every planning session. She'd asked him to help carry things, floral samples, dress boxes, even her laptop, like I wasn't standing right there. I was starting to feel like the third wheel in my own relationship. I confronted Drew one night after Kayla had spent half an hour fawning over his Spotify playlist. I asked him if he noticed how she was acting. He blinked like I'd asked him if the earth was flat. "You're overthinking. She's just excited about the wedding," he said. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But my gut wouldn't let it go. The final straw came at a family barbecue at my parents' house. I stepped away to use the bathroom, and when I came back, there they were, Kayla and Drew, standing a little too close behind a line of tall hedges, talking in hushed tones. She was laughing, low and breathy, her fingers brushing his chest as if it was the most natural thing in the world. They stepped apart the second they saw me. I said nothing. Not there. Not with my grandma flipping burgers and my cousin doing TikTok dances in the yard. That night, when we got home, I asked Drew what they were talking about. He shrugged. "Wedding music," he said. Like that made it okay to stand close enough to inhale someone else's breath. When I pushed harder, his tone changed, defensive, dismissive, irritated. "She's your sister. What do you want me to do? Be rude?" he said. I told him to set boundaries. He scoffed. "There's nothing to set. You're making something out of nothing." But it didn't feel like nothing. It felt like betrayal wearing a polite smile. The next day, I called Kayla. I told her we needed to talk and suggested meeting at a cafe near her condo. She chirped an enthusiastic "Sure," like nothing was wrong. She wore white. I still remember that. A little white sundress with gold hoops, like she was already playing the bride. I tried to ease into the conversation, but I couldn't hold it back. I told her the truth, that her behavior around Drew was inappropriate, and it needed to stop. Her smile cracked like a cheap mirror. "You think I'm flirting with Drew?" she said, wide-eyed and theatrical. I nodded. "You are. Whether you know it or not." She laughed. Not a real laugh, one of those dry, scornful ones that make you feel like the joke. "Oh please," she said. "He's practically family. You're being ridiculous." I laid it out clearly, the touches, the attention, the way she monopolized him at every turn. Her face flushed crimson. She called me insecure. Said I was projecting. I told her it wasn't about insecurity. It was about respect. About lines she'd crossed. That's when she stood up, knocking her chair back. "If you don't trust me, that's your issue," she snapped. "I'm not going to sit here and get lectured by my own sister like I'm some homewrecker." And she walked out. Just like that. Leaving me alone with a cooling cappuccino and a boiling gut. At home, Drew asked how it went. I told him. His face twisted into disappointment, not at her, but at me. "You didn't have to confront her like that," he muttered. "Are you seriously taking her side?" He said no, of course not, but his face said something else. That night we argued. Not loudly, but with the kind of quiet fury that ends things. The kind that makes you feel like a stranger in your own bed. 1 week before Kayla's wedding, I felt like I was losing both my sister and my boyfriend. My parents thought I was overreacting. My sister stopped returning my texts. And Drew just wanted me to let it go. But I couldn't. Because somewhere deep down, I knew something worse was coming. And I was right. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the two of them together, my sister's laughter curling around Drew like perfume, his hand hovering just a second too long near her hip. The silence from Kayla stretched for days. No calls. No texts. I left voicemails, even showed up at her door once, but she wouldn't open it. Drew told me to give it time, that things would blow over before the wedding. But I knew better. I felt it like a splinter buried deep in my chest. Something was still happening, and I wasn't crazy for feeling it. And then my mom called. She was livid. Kayla told me what you said to her, she snapped. How dare you bring drama right before her big day? I tried to explain. Tried to stay calm. But she wasn't listening. You owe her an apology, she said. You need to fix this. Now. Fix it? Like I was the one sneaking around behind backs? The more I tried to defend myself, the more it became clear they had already picked a side. And it wasn't mine. The tension in our house got so thick I couldn't breathe. Drew started sleeping facing the opposite direction, barely speaking unless I spoke first. He acted like I was the one ruining everything, like my suspicions were just the wild imaginings of an insecure woman. And then came that day. Exactly 6 days before the wedding, I drove to my parents' house. I don't even remember what my excuse was, some vague idea about clearing the air. But really, I just needed to see something for myself. I pulled into the driveway around 5 p.m. The house looked empty from the front. Quiet. Still. But as I walked up the steps, I heard murmured voices coming from the side yard. Low, urgent, familiar. I crept around the corner, feet crunching softly on gravel. And there they were. Drew. Kayla. Tangled together behind my mother's lilac bush like a scene ripped from some trashy drama. Her legs were wrapped around his waist. His hand was up her shirt. They were kissing like they had all the time in the world, like no one else existed. It took me a second to process it. Then all the oxygen drained from my lungs. What the hell is this? I screamed. They broke apart like guilty teenagers caught by the principal. Kayla's face went ghost white. Drew stumbled back, stammering. Rachel, it's not what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. Every fear I had swallowed, every doubt they made me question, every moment I was told I was imagining things, confirmed in a single, grotesque image. How could you? I choked out, the words catching in my throat like barbed wire. My own sister. My boyfriend. Tears poured down my face, but I didn't care. The betrayal was too big for shame. I'm so sorry, Kayla sobbed. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Like what? I yelled. You were supposed to get married next week. Drew tried to grab my arm. I yanked away. Don't touch me. I didn't want to hear another word. Not another excuse, not a plea, not a twisted version of reality where this somehow made sense. I turned, walked back to my car with them shouting my name, and never looked back. I drove straight to a hotel in the next town over. Didn't pack. Didn't care. I booked a room on my phone while sobbing in the parking lot, then sent Drew one text. We're done. Don't contact me again. Then I turned my phone off. Blocked him. Blocked Kayla. I sat alone in that hotel bed, hugging my knees and staring at the wallpaper until the sun came up. It was over. Whatever fantasy I had of us being a normal couple, a supportive family, sisters who would stand by each other on their wedding days, that was gone. And the worst part? They all made me feel crazy for suspecting what was happening right in front of me. But I was right all along. And I wasn't finished. Because Kayla's fiancé? The man she was supposed to marry in 6 days? He had no idea. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. Or the one after. My hotel room was dark, save for the blue glow of my phone screen as I typed and retyped a message I knew I couldn't send. Mark deserves to know. Mark, Kayla's fiancé, was a good man. A bit awkward, a little too into his model train collection, but solid. Steady. The kind of guy who once helped me move a couch without being asked and insisted I take the last slice of pizza. I'd watched him love my sister fiercely for 2 years. Watched him pour himself into wedding planning, obsessed with tiny details she never cared about. He didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve her. So on the third morning, with my heart pounding and hands shaking, I called him. He answered on the second ring. Hey, Rachel? What's going on? Is everything okay? No, I wanted to say. Nothing is okay. Your fiancé is sleeping with my boyfriend. Instead, I took a breath and told him the whole story, every gut feeling, every denied suspicion, every moment they gaslit me into thinking I was crazy. And finally, what I saw in the garden. He didn't interrupt. Just listened, the silence on the other end stretching so long I thought the line had gone dead. When I finished, he said only this. Thank you for telling me. Then he hung up. That was it. No questions. No anger. No shouting. Just nothing. I stared at the phone like it might explain itself. I didn't know what I expected, a meltdown maybe. A confrontation. But that cold, controlled response? That terrified me more than anything else. In the days that followed, everything got quiet. Kayla stopped trying to contact me. Drew didn't call. Even my mother, who once left me 13 voicemails in a single day over a forgotten birthday brunch, went silent. I started to wonder, did he forgive her? Was she still going through with it? Would they really stand at the altar and pretend nothing happened? The wedding day arrived, and I stayed in my hotel. I told myself I didn't care. I told myself it didn't matter what happened anymore. But around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed with a call from my cousin Leah. The first thing she said? Oh my God, Rachel! You will not believe what just happened. I sat up, heart racing. What? She was practically whispering, her voice buzzing with adrenaline. The ceremony started. Everything looked normal. Kayla walked down the aisle in that ivory dress she made such a big deal about. Mark was standing there, calm as ever. I thought maybe he didn't believe you. She paused for effect. But right before they exchanged vows, he turned to the crowd and said, I need to be honest with everyone here. My hand flew to my mouth. He said, Leah continued, I can't marry someone who would betray her own sister and then lie about it to my face. Kayla has been having an affair with Rachel's boyfriend. I was frozen. Leah kept going. Everyone gasped. Your mom literally dropped her bouquet. Kayla just stood there like someone had unplugged her. Pale, shaking. And then, Mark looked right at your parents and said, This is why Rachel hasn't been around. Because no one believed her. Then he turned around and walked out. I pressed my palm to my chest. I could feel my heart pounding through my ribs. Leah wasn't done. Kayla broke down in front of everyone. Ugly crying. Your dad tried to say something, but no one was listening. It was chaos. People were whispering, guests were getting up. I've never seen anything like it. It was like a scene from a movie. I didn't speak. I couldn't. Are you okay? She asked softly. I let out a slow breath. I don't know. Because I really didn't. I felt everything and nothing all at once, vindicated, yes. But also hollow. Broken. Tired. You were right, Leah said quietly. About everything. After we hung up, I sat for a long time staring at the wall. I had always thought the worst thing that could happen was losing my boyfriend. Or my sister. Or my family. But the real loss? It was believing, for so long, that none of it would ever happen. That they were incapable of it. That I was the problem. Now the truth was out. And it had shattered everything. But maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of something new. 3 days after the wedding exploded like a bad soap opera, I got a knock on my hotel door. It was her. Kayla. She looked nothing like the flawless bride from her Pinterest boards. Her hair was unwashed, pulled into a limp bun, her face blotchy from crying or not sleeping, or both. She stood in the hallway holding a gift bag like that could undo everything. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice hoarse. I didn't answer. Just stepped aside and let her in, not out of kindness, but because I needed to hear what she would say. I needed to see if she was still the same girl who could look me in the eyes and lie. She sat on the edge of the bed like she didn't know where to put herself. The bag crinkled as she clutched it, knuckles white. "I messed everything up," she whispered. "I know that." "You think?" She flinched at the bite in my tone. Then she said something that almost made me laugh. "It wasn't about Drew." I blinked. "You kissed my boyfriend in our parents' garden, Kayla. You wrapped your legs around him like a scene out of a telenovela. Don't insult me with that line. No, I mean, it wasn't like I planned it. It just happened. I was stressed. The wedding. Mom. Everything. He was just there. So was I said. You just didn't care." She looked at me then, and for a second I saw it, regret. Real, raw, ugly regret. But then she opened her mouth, and whatever sincerity might have existed vanished into smoke. "I lost everything," she whispered. "Mark won't even return my calls. Mom won't talk to me. Dad's furious. You don't know what this has done to me." There it was. To me. Not what she did to me. What this had done to her. I felt my stomach twist. This wasn't an apology. This was damage control. She didn't come to make peace. She came because the house was burning down, and she realized no one was coming to save her. "You made yourself the victim," I said slowly, rising from the chair. "You set the fire, Kayla. And now you're crying because it's warm." She looked stunned. Like I'd just slapped her with a truth no one had ever dared say to her. I walked over and opened the door. She stood confused. "That's it? You're just kicking me out?" "No," I said. "I'm doing something I should have done a long time ago. I'm done pretending we're something we're not." She paused in the doorway, eyes flicking between me and the hallway. "You're really not going to forgive me?" I gave a small, cold smile. "Forgiveness is for people who stop when you say no. You didn't. You kept going." She left. She didn't slam the door. She didn't say goodbye. Just walked away, shoulders hunched like a child who finally got caught. Later that night, Drew tried to call from an unknown number. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail I still haven't listened to. I don't need his side of the story. I already lived through enough of it. Then came the group text from my mom. "Rachel, please call me. We need to fix this as a family." I stared at that word, fix. As if I was a loose screw in the machinery of their lives. As if I was the one who broke it. They still didn't get it. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating. It was that they all watched me fall apart, called me paranoid, dramatic, jealous, and only now, when the truth was unavoidable, did they care about making it right. No. They didn't want to fix it. They wanted to smooth it over. But I wasn't smoothing anything anymore. Instead, I booked a week at a quiet Airbnb by the coast. Packed a suitcase. Turned my phone off. And drove. I watched the ocean for hours that first night, waves crashing like a storm against the rocks, steady and wild and uncaring. I needed that reminder. That the world keeps going, even when yours stops. That peace doesn't come from apologies. It comes from walking away. I thought I was done. I thought leaving was enough. That watching the waves crash against the cliffside from a quiet cottage would be the kind of healing people write poems about. But something kept clawing at me. It wasn't anger, not anymore. It was something quieter. Colder. A question I couldn't silence. Why did they let me be the villain for so long? Not just Kayla. Not just Drew. My mother, my father, every cousin who looked the other way. Every friend who told me to just let it go. They watched me lose my mind trying to prove something that was real the whole time. They didn't believe me when I whispered it. But they would believe me now. That's when I remembered Mark had the wedding professionally filmed. 2 cameras. 1 drone. A full mic'd-up ceremony with vows, speeches, and his monologue, where he dropped the truth like a bomb in a church filled with flowers and lies. I texted Mark just 1 line. "Can I have the footage?" He sent it an hour later. No questions asked? I didn't edit it. Didn't add music or dramatic text. I uploaded it to a private Vimeo link with a simple title. Why I didn't attend my sister's wedding. Then I did one thing. I sent the link to every single person in my family group chat. No caption. No explanation. Just the truth. And then I left the group. Within minutes, my phone exploded. I didn't look at the messages. I turned it off. Permanently. Switched SIM cards. Closed every social media account tied to my name. Gone. A few days later, I changed my number. Told HR at work I was moving offices. Asked to be transferred to the Seattle branch, somewhere with clean rain and strangers who didn't know the sound of my sister's laughter. And for the first time in years, I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I left no forwarding address. Because here's the thing. Forgiveness might come one day. But it won't come with their timeline, their rules, or their version of events. It won't arrive in the form of a brunch invitation or a gaslight apology that starts with, "If you had just..." It'll come, maybe, in the space I finally gave myself. A space where I'm not the crazy sister, the jealous girlfriend, the problem child. Just me. Whole. Burned. But healing. They got their fairy tale wedding, at least for a few minutes. But I got something better. I got out. And if I had to lose everyone to finally find peace, so be it.